I would never want anyone to mention anything about my family, so I'd never do it about anyone else. It's not what we do. We're fighters.
2 minutes later.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a fucking rapist off his ma. You know what I mean?
Okay, strong statement.
Just going back and forth on Twitter.
They're on the same level, they can do that, so. Trash cans.
Alright, buckle up, because the feud between Paddy Pimblett and Dan Hooker has completely taken over social media, sending shockwaves through the entire MMA community as these two fighters unleash vicious attacks on each other. This explosive drama started when Paddy made a joke that didn't sit well with people, and Hooker's brutal response sent everything spiraling out of control in the worst way possible. The heated war of words has gotten so wild that it's pulled an Arman Tsarukyan, creating another twist in what's becoming the most dramatic storyline the sport has seen lately. Things got really messy when Paddy recently went too far in an interview trying to mock Dan Hooker's ground game. What should have been standard fighter banter quickly turned into something that tons of people thought was completely out of line, shifting all the focus from their actual skills to the problematic things being said. That one moment triggered a massive wave of angry reactions, pouring gasoline on an already burning situation between these two fighters.
And a lot of people are saying, like, just engage. He's older than that lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker.
That's true.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a fucking rapist off his ma.
Dan Hooker came back swinging hard after hearing what Paddy Pimblett said, and he made it absolutely obvious that this had crossed into personal territory for him. There was no joking around in his response, no hesitation whatsoever. This was his way of showing everyone that the gloves were officially off and this wasn't just casual internet drama anymore. Hooker's response was direct, calling him a fat piece of trash and making it clear they had problems. But here's where things get really interesting. Fans immediately started calling out Paddy as a total hypocrite because in that same interview, he completely refused to talk about Ilia Topuria's family drama, drawing a hard line about what he wouldn't discuss. During the whole rivalry thing, he made it super clear that family stuff should never be brought up, explaining that while fighters can trash talk about abilities and technique, personal life and family members need to stay completely out of bounds. He actually showed real respect in that moment, saying he hoped things worked out for Topuria and that everything got better, which was completely different from how he went after Hooker.
Never want anyone to mention anything about my family, so I'd never do it about anyone else. It's not what we do. We're fighters. We say what we want about each other. Say anything about me, I'll say anything about him, but don't mention families. You know, that's below the belt, and I wish him nothing but the best with it, lad. I hope it all gets resolved. I hope it all gets resolved and he gets to see his child, lad. That's the main thing. But for now, I'm fighting for the world title. He's sitting on the sideline, so when I win this belt, I'm the champ. Don't care if it says interim on it. When I win this belt, I'm the champ, and if he's not back by June, July, he best have to vacate or get stripped, and I am the champ.
The situation got even worse from there. Dan Hooker escalated things further, getting even angrier and calling out Paddy Pimblett for being totally silent when they were in person, blasting him for being fake and two-faced when nobody was watching. Hooker said he genuinely believed they had a good relationship, so he felt completely stabbed in the back when the disrespectful comments went viral. What really shocked people and made them extremely uncomfortable was when Hooker brought up Ricky in his response. This crossed a major line since Ricky was someone incredibly important to Paddy who had taken his own life in 2022, bringing a really dark and sensitive element into an already explosive situation. Hooker's message said he hadn't said anything when they were face to face, that he thought they were friends, but Paddy wasn't being a good friend, and then mentioned R.I.P. Ricky. Paddy Pimblett immediately hit back at Dan Hooker, blasting him for massively overreacting to what happened. He pointed out that Hooker had taken a simple joke about grappling and completely lost his mind, then crossed every line by bringing up a friend who had died by suicide. Paddy called this move absolutely disgusting while also continuing to attack Hooker's fighting abilities, showing that this beef had become extremely personal and heated. Paddy's comeback said he thought they couldn't be friends because he was ranked higher, that Hooker took a hypothetical joke about his terrible grappling and responded by talking trash about his friend who committed suicide, calling it the lowest thing possible and saying Hooker's fighting was garbage. While all this chaos was happening, Arman Tsarukyan basically ignored the entire online war between Paddy Pimblett and Dan Hooker, making it obvious that he doesn't see either guy as elite-level competition in the sport. He completely dismissed their whole conflict, treating it like meaningless drama between two fighters he sees as roughly equal and not real threats in the championship conversation.
There's a little conflict going around with Dan Hooker and Paddy Pimblett. I was wondering if you were able to, see it or what you thought about it.
I didn't see what they're doing.
Just going back and forth on Twitter.
They're on the same level. They can do that. So trash cans.
Now let's discuss Arman Tsarukyan, who started targeting Paddy Pimblett's ground game, seriously questioning how dangerous the baddie actually is when fights go to the mat. Tsarukyan has no problem dismissing Paddy's hyped-up reputation in grappling situations. He specifically points out that Pimblett doesn't regularly face elite-level opponents in grappling scenarios, arguing that this lack of top-tier testing creates serious doubts about his real abilities on the ground. On top of that, Tsarukyan suggests that recent footage and gym stories floating around actually support these concerns, creating an image that Paddy's ground game might not be nearly as dangerous as his fans believe when he faces someone with legitimate grappling skills.
I just want to say he has no grappling. He trains with guys. He never compete even the high level. He never compete in jiu-jitsu or grappling. I saw him. He had a fight, grappling fight, and he tapped or he lost. So he's a trash can in the grappling and the wrestling.
Paddy Pimblett wasn't about to let that slide, firing right back at Arman Tsarukyan with a brutal counterattack, completely mocking Arman's grappling credentials and aggressively challenging how good he actually is on the mat. Paddy went all out, completely dismissing any achievements Arman might have had in grappling tournaments outside of MMA, comparing it to his own focused background and commitment. He made it crystal clear that his entire professional focus stays locked on competing inside the cage, not wasting time on what he considers pointless side competitions in recreational grappling events. This exchange got nasty fast as Paddy cleverly positioned Arman's involvement in these outside grappling competitions as a foolish risk, a potential injury waiting to happen outside their main sport, and expertly used it to add more fuel to an already blazing rivalry between them.
He's been grappling a lot. I know you don't want to talk about him, but how do you feel about his, his grappling tournaments that he's
Lad,
been
I
at?
heard he nearly got strangled by what's his name?
Shara Magomedov.
Yeah, he nearly got strangled by him, and he can't grapple to save his life either.
It's a tough
He's a
one.
striker, and he nearly got strangled by him. Know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever got any interest of taking those sort of exhibition type things? You know, RAF have got this kind of like grappling thing. Is there ever been like a reach out for like a let's do a grappling match for Pimblett, or is that?
I don't know. Before I was in the UFC years ago, when I was coming back from an injury, I done Polaris one time against Stevie Ray. He caught me in a leg lock. That's like the only one I've done in the past 10 years or something like that. I used to do grappling competitions all the time when I was younger and stuff like that, but obviously I'm focused on fighting now. I don't, like, he can go off and do all these other things if he wants, lad, but hopefully he takes his neck doing them.
Let's switch focus and discuss Arman Tsarukyan, who had previously shown genuine interest in staying prepared as the backup fighter for the much-anticipated Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje matchup. But now he's made it perfectly clear that he's done putting his body through the horrible dehydration of cutting weight without a guaranteed reason. He broke down his position, saying that despite all the constant rumors about him being the obvious backup choice for such a major fight, the UFC never officially contacted him with a real offer. Without that critical direct communication from the organization, he sees no logical reason to torture himself, putting his body through extreme stress and punishment just for potential opportunities or wild speculation. From Tsarukyan's very practical perspective, enduring a weight cut is a brutal, stressful, and incredibly demanding ordeal, especially after already going through that terrible process before with absolutely nothing concrete resulting from it. He's now completely focused on preserving his energy and his health, making it clear that he simply won't put himself through that torture again unless a legitimate, confirmed opportunity is officially presented to him.
I know you've mentioned wanting to be the backup fighter. Have you had any talks with the UFC about actually officially having that position? Because I think you're really the only guy who could be the backup fighter right now.
No, I didn't talk to them, and I wouldn't cut my weight just for money, because it's a hard. But if they ask me, I'll do that. But they didn't ask, so that's why it's better for me not to cut weight and you know, yeah, just if I cut, I want to fight.
For sure. It's I mean, cutting weight is so hard.
I already cut in June, you know, and nothing happened, and just I spent, you know, my energy for the training camp, for the weight cut. It's always stress when you cut your weight, you know.
But in typical fashion, Paddy Pimblett immediately shifts all the blame directly onto Arman for the difficult position he's created for himself. Paddy absolutely went after Arman, specifically targeting his notorious weigh-in drama, those controversial moments on the scale that generated headlines, and his annoying pattern of pulling out of scheduled fights at the last second. Pimblett made it obvious that, from his perspective, those specific incidents and that unreliable pattern have completely eliminated Tsarukyan from any legitimate claim to a title shot opportunity. He suggested that a fighter's dependability and professional behavior matter just as much as their performance in the cage when it comes to earning a championship chance, and Tsarukyan, in Paddy's opinion, has completely failed in that area.
He is. So what about this fucking Arman fella, dude? What are we saying, this posh cunt?
Fuck him. Simple as, lad. I'm getting sick of getting asked about him and people talking about him. Oh, he should be in this interim title fight. He shouldn't fucking headbutt people at weigh-ins then, should he, lad? And punch fans in us when he's walking out, lad, and pull out a title fight the night before. So as far as I'm concerned, lad, he can eat shit, lad, and fucking, as Dana said, he can get back to the drawing board.
Nice. Get that one out of the way early on Arman Tsarukyan. He could have been in the mix for this fight, but I just feel like there's a lot of ulterior factors that people aren't considering other than just his recent win over Dan Hooker. I know he's a top contender, but there's a whole lot that he's done wrong before, and this is the big Paramount debut.
And lad, people are saying, like, Justin Gage, he's older than that, lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's like 2 years younger than him.
That's true.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a fucking rapist off his ma.
Speaking of repercussions, Dana White himself has officially confirmed that Arman Tsarukyan's controversial headbutt situation with Dan Hooker at the weigh-ins absolutely impacted his career prospects. White directly stated that the incident was a legitimate factor in Tsarukyan missing out on a UFC title opportunity, clearly showing how a fighter's behavior, even outside the actual fight, can have serious real-world consequences for their professional future. This stands as a powerful reminder that the UFC expects its athletes to maintain professional standards beyond just fight performances, stressing how important it is to keep a clean image consistently.
I obviously am not one of these fans, but some fans thought Arman should have been the one to get a 155 title pound shot.
We knew that would happen too.
Of course. Did the headbutt play any factor in the decision to not go with him? It did, right?
A lot of things have factored in, you know.
So let's dig deeper into Arman Tsarukyan's situation. He's finally revealed the actual reason he had to withdraw from the massive UFC 311 fight against Islam Makhachev, disclosing it was because of a painful hernia. This is crucial information that explains a controversial pullout. Even though he had a valid medical excuse for missing the fight, Tsarukyan still got hit with a storm of harsh criticism and backlash from fans and media everywhere. He's still dealing with the ongoing effects of that tough choice, clearly showing how even one withdrawal, no matter how justified the reason, can create lasting damage and leave a permanent mark on a fighter's professional reputation. This perfectly demonstrates just how ruthless the fighting business can be.
Remember, I think it was in LA, you were gonna fight Islam, you messed up your back. What's the recovery been, you know, for, you know, and like what happened? How did you get injured in your back before the fight versus Islam?
So I did the MRI after the fight, and it shows like I don't know how to explain in English, but I have a grisha. No.
Translate. Let's see. Hernia.
So I have that thing.
Okay.
And I may need surgery, I may not. So we'll see if it's gonna bother me again. I gotta do surgery.
Gotta remove the hernia.
Yeah, remove it.
Gotcha.
So,
was it pretty painful?
Yeah, my back was stuck. You know, I couldn't move.
Man.
And then
The drama keeps rolling for Arman Tsarukyan. He also got into a serious argument with a prominent MMA analyst over Ilia Topuria's potential performance against current champion Islam Makhachev. The analyst had claimed that while Topuria could potentially compete well at 55 pounds, he definitely wouldn't survive at 170. Arman responded with serious anger, quickly shutting down the opinion with passion and intensity. He made it completely obvious that he genuinely doesn't think the analyst has sufficient deep knowledge or understanding about the complicated aspects of the sport to make such a confident prediction, basically suggesting the expert was talking about things beyond his expertise. This confrontation really showed Arman's belief in his own tactical understanding and his readiness to challenge supposed experts in the MMA community.
Topuria and Topuria has no chance. Whatever. You think Topuria can beat Islam?
Yeah.
Bro, you
no, at 170,
MMA,
no.
bro.
At 170, no. At 155, yes.
Like working in an interview, guy. You know shit about MMA.
I do. There's no way Ilya Topuria can't.
What's good, bro?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, 165.
No, it's 170 as well.
Islam fighting 170. He's not 155 fighter.
Yeah, that's why I said at 170 I don't think so, but it's close. But at 155 I think Ilya can beat Makhachev. Yeah, very good. No.
He has just boxing. That's it.
He has grappling too.
Where?
He submitted Bryce Mitchell.
Looking at a different angle, legend Michael Bisping has made a strong prediction, declaring that Ilya Topuria will not only keep his championship but will dominate through 2026, boldly stating that nobody currently in the weight class has what it takes to defeat him right now. Bisping admits that Arman Tsarukyan is definitely a dangerous threat waiting in the wings, a serious challenger who could definitely cause problems. However, Bisping doesn't expect a fight between these two to happen in the near future, indicating that the circumstances just aren't aligned properly. This keeps Topuria's championship reign mostly unchallenged and apparently stable for the coming years, giving him a clear opportunity to build his legacy in the division without immediate dangers.
At 155 pounds, I don't see anyone beating Ilya Topuria. I just don't. Not Paddy, not Justin. Yeah, all right, there's Arman Tsarukyan out there, and he's the dark horse. Obviously, Paddy and Justin are fighting for the interim title. That's an interesting fight because Justin, better boxer, better wrestling, never uses the wrestling. Even if he did use the wrestling, you wouldn't really want to take Paddy Pimblett down. Paddy's a lot younger, a lot less miles on the clock, a lot less wear and tear. I'm kind of early leaning towards Paddy Pimblett in that fight. But who's the undisputed champ at the end of 2026? So yeah, 2026, Topuria will still be the champ. Yeah, there's Arman Tsarukyan out there, but I don't think that fight will materialize.
Let's look at the tactical brilliance of Trevor Whitman, who's sharing some really valuable insights about Justin Gaethje's training camp. Whitman suggests that Gaethje is carefully preparing to show a completely different aspect of his skill set when he potentially fights Paddy Pimblett with surprising focus on his wrestling abilities. Whitman, Gaethje's respected coach, clarifies that the team absolutely isn't treating this as a stand-up only battle, which might shock some people considering Gaethje's striking reputation. He continues by highlighting the massive amount of intense training and commitment Gaethje has invested in developing his wrestling and submission defense, areas where he's historically been underestimated. From Whitman's professional perspective, the main strategy this time is taking initiative immediately, being the aggressor from the opening bell instead of just responding to what happens. This means actively using Justin's dramatically improved wrestling control and his devastating ground strikes as main tactics.